What is up, everybody? I am RenaMarq, your modern Renaissance content creator, your friendly neighborhood content creator, and thank you for checking out another episode of Per-Sception. In this time, I have a legend. And I don't say legend just to say legend. I have a true legend, not only a content creating legend, not only a streaming legend, but a goddamn Apex legend as well. A sports legend, a tournament legend. I have the great, the amazing TopazTvee, or Topes, which you'll probably hear me calling throughout this episode. Topes,
Wow, what an intro.
what's up? How you
What's
doing?
going on? What's going on? Thank
I'm
you for
good.
having me.
Of
I'm super
course.
excited.
Thank you for joining me. I'm excited. I really can't wait to delve into a couple of things with you, but
Yeah.
please give the people a more detailed introduction on yourself. How will you describe yourself?
Well, oh man, how do I describe myself? Well, I definitely describe myself as a, variety content creator with a super bubbly personality. Like I've always been a goofball, like ever since I was younger. And then I just developed a love for this game, Apex Legends. And I've just been enjoying it so much. College graduate, delved in all kind of things, outside of content creation. I'm a teacher.
Nice.
Basically, I work in Parks and Rec. So I've been working in education for as long as I can remember, ever since I was 17. So that's like my day job. And yeah, I'm just all around Topaz. Like I'm just random. Like that's the best way I can describe myself. And I think that's how most people would describe me. It's just very random. So
I like that. I like that. Now, that's I didn't know about the teacher thing, and that's
yeah.
actually super incredible. Like, and it's funny because like as soon as you said teacher, I was like, I can see it. I
Yeah.
can see
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah. No, I've worked with kids. Like my very first job ever when I turned 17 was at the youth center back in my hometown.
oh wow.
Um, and I just fell in love with working with kids. I just love the atmosphere. Like I just loved, just being in my youth and just kind of
Mhm.
being, a good role model for the kids, coming up now. And I've just kind of stayed put. And then I in that field, and then I went to school. I got my degree, my bachelor's degree in child development.
Nice.
And I just been kind of working in Parks and Rec like ever since. Like, I mean, gaming has opened up a whole new world for me, and I'm actually going back to school. I just got reaccepted yesterday. I opened my email,
Let's
so I'm
go.
going back to school. I know I'm have to take some prereqs since I've been out of school for a while.
Right.
To hopefully get a master's degree. I don't even know what I want to do now because I'm kind of torn between like staying in education or kind of diverting into more of the gaming industry. So it's kind of up in the air. I
Mm.
think I might just, still get my master's in child development just to have something, like a plan B.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've worked with kids and been around kids and education ever since I was 17. So 10 years now. Now, more than 10 years because I'll be 29 in July. So going on
Really?
12 years. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's incredible. Hold up.
Yeah,
Hold
yeah.
up. So, you know what? Okay, so with that, my first question to you would actually
Yeah.
be, with working as, I feel like the industry, or the industry has of gaming, and even like music or YouTube or content creation in general, has become such a mainstay, right? It's become
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
household industry.
Right,
So in your years of that, of kind of being in both, right? In
right.
your years of being in both, do you now see like how back then, maybe when you first started working with children, you saw like, oh, I may want to be a teacher, or I may want to be a firefighter, whatever, right?
Right,
And but
right.
now in like 2022, as you're in both spaces, do you see
Yes.
more people wanting to be like, nah, I want to be a content creator, I want to be a
Ye
streamer? And how do you feel about that
Absolutely.
being in both?
Absolutely. And you know what's crazy? When I went back to Vegas to the esports arena, I was so now I'm so like, I don't want to say jealous, because jealous is not the word. I want to
Mm,
say like happy that there is another lane that kids can go into, because you have that regular you want your kid to be a doctor or a lawyer and like all this stuff. And now they have programs in high schools, like in K through 12 schools, not K through 12, middle school through 12th grade,
right.
for sports. Like they have esports clubs now,
Holy shit.
content creation clubs. When I went to Vegas, a group of high schoolers actually were there. The last time I went, and through Cal State Dominguez Hills out here in Cali, they have a program for high schoolers for esports and stuff like that. So it's just really nice to be able to see kids today have that option, because I didn't have any esports clubs like back when I was in school or
Nah,
nothing like that. And this
me
was in a
neither.
time where, for us, like our parents and our adults still thought gaming was silly, and that
Yeah.
whole cliche, and like, why are you playing this game for hours?
Right. You
Like,
need to
do
go
something
outside.
productive.
Yeah.
And now it literally is productive. Like, it's a career path for kids today. And I think that's like super super dope. Like, just seeing the evolution of how many ways kids can go. And like, I would have never thought, like when I was in middle school or high school, that I wanted to be a content creator or nothing like that, because
Mhm.
that wasn't normal. That wasn't like a normal thing. Like,
Right.
growing up, I really don't even know like what I thought I was gonna be. Like, I had an interest. It was weird. I had an interest in forensic science for a little while, because we grew up watching Forensic Files and the First
Yup.
48 and all that stuff. And
Yup.
like, part of me was like, like, I kind of want to be like a crime scene investigator or something like that, or work in law enforcement for a little while.
Yup.
And then I first applied as a biology major when I went to school. But then I randomly took a child development class, because none of the bio classes that I wanted, I couldn't get into them. They were all full.
Oh
So
damn.
I had to divert to taking some child development classes just for general education. And then that's when the epiphany was like, oh wow, well, I've been working in education already. Like, I started volunteering, and then I worked at the youth center. I've been working with kids for forever. So why not just change my major right then and there? And then that's what I ended up doing,
Nice.
and going into that. But like, yeah, growing up, I would have never dreamt like something like this could actually be, viable for myself and even for kids today.
Right.
So it's just super amazing to see like gaming and the industry just blossom into something way bigger than what we thought it was, back then. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
I think it's very, 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 very cool for this generation to be able to have that option. So
That's actually cool. And
yeah, yeah.
that's that's such a good note on that, because now to think about it, like as a teacher, like do you, the best way to put this is, do you kind of merge those two worlds? Like do the children that you work with know, hey, you also do content creator, and they can look at you as like an inspiration, and like you can develop in both cases as well?
Yes, yes.
Nice.
And you know what? And it's weird because I'm in an interesting spot, because where I currently work at now is very like, it's very much imagination and play. So
Mm,
it's very anti, electronics and like all that stuff. So, on the side, I do talk about it with my coworkers and stuff. I tell them, yeah, I'm doing Twitch now, and I'm doing streaming and gaming and all that stuff. And they're very interested. And I also had a program for teens at my job too. And they
nice.
asked me about it. And I try not to emphasize it too much, simply because, our environment is very much, imagination, creativity, play. But even my job recognizes that, technology is inevitable in our world.
Right.
So even now, currently, we're building a new building on our site, for the kids and for guests. And it's going to have an element of technology in there,
Nice.
even though, for years, like where I work at now, we've been open since 1959. and it's very much always been, imagination. Like all the play sets that we have at my job are standstill. Like it's very much, use your imagination, use your creativity,
Mm,
and find different ways to, play with your imagination versus,
right.
electronics and all that stuff. But even now, there's a high interest and it's just kind of the way the world is going and it's kind of hard to avoid, but you can still have that balance of letting your teens know, letting the kids know, hey, this is still an option, but you can still also use your imagination and creativity in the games industry because that's literally how we create games. It
Yep.
starts with an idea. It starts with like, your imagination, and then it goes from there with adding, animation and all that stuff. So there's still always that element of imagination
Right.
within, gaming and within technology, industries in general. So
That's actually dope.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah. So, the kids are interested. They know, they know what I'm doing and they know what I'm up to. At first I was trying to, keep it separate, you know what I
right.
mean? But it's kind of hard to avoid, my teens, they find my TikTok and they go snooping around and finding stuff. So it's it was inevitable, but I'm glad, they're, interested in it. I'm glad I can, kind of be like, hey, this is an option for you. You can go to school, you can do games animation, you can do 3D animation, and you can make video games, and you can do storyboards and, for games and like all that stuff. So I'm just glad I kind of been able to be kind of that window, into that world for them. So
Right. And
yeah,
that's actually really cool because it also showcases that like you don't have to be you can have that duality, right? Like you can
exactly,
still
exactly.
have your passion for one thing but still,
Right.
delve into the other passion for content creating or
Exactly,
anything of that nature.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. One thing, like my dream, now that I'm thinking about it, like as I got older and were was really, getting into, Parks and Rec and working in youth centers and stuff. I did have like I still kind of do have like a dream to be like a director of like a youth center or like a
Nice.
director of like a Parks and Rec center for kids or something like that.
Right.
And like my dream would be to have like a gaming room, in a youth center or like a boys and girls club or something like that because I think that's like really important
Yes.
for kids, and to not be told, hey, gaming is silly and all that stuff. Like we were told, back in
Right.
the day. It's like, no, play your game. Like I'm gonna be in there, I'm gonna play with you and like here, look, while we're at it, you can literally get a job. Like you can get a job and live a viable life doing this. And instead of trying to keep it from them, to be like,
Right.
hey, like look at what you can do with this. You know what I mean? Like that would be like like a long-term dream goal. And, just trying to work to get, more funding
Mhm.
in places like that for things like that. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
long-term goal would be once I, transition into new careers and things like that. I still kind of have that drive and that passion to do that too. So
That's actually cool. That's
yeah,
actually
yeah.
cool. Creating the future, Topes. Okay.
I know,
I
I'm
see you.
trying. Like the future, the kids are our future. If
Right.
anything, that's always been a message, throughout the generations is the kids are the future. And especially now when we're in the tech world, kids growing up are literally the future, like
Right.
literally. So I don't know. I just kind of want to, definitely, be different than how our generation of parents were
Right.
growing up because, they didn't have that technological aspect in their generation. So things are very different and it's okay. It's okay to be for them to be different. So that's kind of like what I want them to know instead of, us being told, oh, that's silly. Like, what are you gonna do with that? And it's like, nah, there's a lot of stuff to do with there's a lot of stuff to do with that. So
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Now,
yeah, yeah.
to that's amazing because to bring it on to you a bit more too, do you feel that being a teacher makes you matter of fact, it's kind of like a two-parter here. Do you
Yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah.
like being a teacher makes you a better content creator because you're able to like having that to be able to talk to crowds, and also do you
Yeah.
think being a content creator makes you a better teacher? Like, do you think there's an on and off
Yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah. It's both. I think both kind of go into each other
Right.
because naturally I am it doesn't seem like it now because I'm very comfortable and I'm getting to know a lot more people better, you know, and on a more personal level. But I am very much an introvert. Like I'm super, super quiet, like especially, you know, in environments where I'm new, you know, and I might
Right.
not really know everyone. But I'm very much like super, super introverted. Public speaking like gives me anxiety a lot. I know public speaking is very difficult for a lot of people and like,
Right.
you know, speaking to crowds and things like that. And I always psych myself out about that kind of stuff, but I have gotten so much more comfortable actually speaking to people just because now I'm used to speaking into a microphone. Like I've been in front of large audiences, even though it's just in my, you know, right here in my bedroom.
Right.
It's still the same feeling, like even going on, you know, before a stream or before like, you know, when I know I'm gonna be in front of a lot of people, you still get
Right.
those nerves
Yeah.
as if you're speaking to like in real life, you know what I
Right.
mean? So I have gotten so much more comfortable with speaking to people actually in real life too. Like, you know, talking more at work, even at work, you know, I'm super quiet and don't really talk much, but like at work, you know, reconnecting with friends. And yeah, vice versa. Like it works both ways. And I've seen a lot of growth, you know, within myself personally um you know, doing content creation. Like
Right.
I don't know, I don't know how to describe it. Like I never thought like some of the things that I'm doing now I never thought I would be able to do, so it's just kind of very shocking and
Right.
kind of like a burst of shock, you know. And then I'm just kind of, you know, taking it, you know, day by day and going with the flow and whatnot. But yeah, it's been very interesting to see the growth and the change in myself too. So yeah.
I fucked with that. I fucked with that. And
Yeah, 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 yeah.
with that type of like being able to kind of look back and see that growth. Let's talk about what made you want to not only become in this gaming space, in this Twitch space, but how did you make it to, or when did you realize you wanted to join tournaments and take those
Yeah.
jumps as well? So what was the
Y-
jump towards you being a content creator in general, and then what was the jump of going forward and being like, hey, I'm good at this game, I want to do a tournament, I want to do this, I want to do that.
Right, right. Yeah. It was kind of random. It very was. And it's like I've done so much, like so much that I never thought I would do. It started, you know, of course, during quarantine, like I was bored and I was bored. And I say this all the time. I cannot believe I never knew. I didn't even know Twitch existed before quarantine. I had no
Really?
clue.
Oh shit.
I had no clue what Twitch was. Like I knew nothing. I just knew I had my games and I was, you know, still playing the same games. You know, I didn't know Apex existed until my friend Rizzy put me on the Apex. She was playing Apex before I
Hey.
was. I think she started playing season 3. It was either season 2 or season 3. And then that's how I started playing because she got me into it in season 4.
Mm.
But yeah, during quarantine, I was just bored playing games. And I do not remember exactly how it happened, but I started getting back into Twitter. My Twitter was dormant for like heck of years. Like I
Mm.
started my account in 2014 and then I had never used it for like many, many years throughout college
Right.
because I was in college at that time.
Right.
Um, and then I started getting back on Twitter, and I think that's how I found Black Girl Gamers. I'm pretty certain it was through Twitter. And then I started discovering like more gamers and stuff on Twitter. And then it just kind of snowballed into, hey, you know, and then I learned that I can stream from my PlayStation. So that's exactly what I started doing. I started streaming from my PlayStation.
Right.
I got the little snowball mic, and that's how it started. I started playing, what is it, NBA Live, I think was the first. No, no, no. It was God of War. God of
Okay.
War was the very first game that I tried to
Nice.
stream, but I couldn't get into it. It was more power to people playing it, but I wasn't into it. And then I did like a playthrough, like another playthrough of GTA 5. But it was just very random. It was very random how it started. And then I slowly but surely, thanks to Black Girl Gamers, you know, I started learning a lot more about streaming,
Hmm.
what it takes, what kind of equipment you needed. And then I slowly just started, gathering things. What was the first thing that I applied for? Was it the Broadcast Her grant? It was the Broadcast Her grant. And then I
Nice.
came across a Thousand Dreams Fund.
Nice.
And then I applied. It was just very random. This was still when I was under TopazTvee. My username was still Topes before I did like the small rebrand and stuff. And then it was just random. I didn't think anything of it, but I applied for the Broadcast Her grant in the spring of 2020.
Right.
Yeah, 2020. And then I got that and I was like, holy, whoa, like, whoa, this is like a
Nice.
thing. Like, this is real. Like, I can really like do something with this, like make
Right.
something out of it. So I took that grant. I got a PC. I got a couple monitors. I got a desk and a mixer. And from there, it just kind of, blossomed into what it is now. And, I discovered Apex, fell in love with it, started, practicing, getting good, and really started centering, most of my content around Apex just because I just literally fell in love with the game.
Right.
So it was just very random how it happened. And it just rekindled my passion for gaming again. Cause for a while, with college, I got super busy. So I wasn't really gaming as much. Um, back then. But yeah, it just kind of, turned it into what it is now. And now I have like so many goals now. Like
Right.
I want to, get my own place, and have a room and like all that stuff and really put some time and effort into it. And, learning about, learning from content creators who have been doing this like a super, super long time, like
Right.
Mira
Yes.
and everybody in BGG, like getting knowledge from them. Because one thing about me is like I love learning. I've always loved school. Like for the longest time, I thought I was gonna go all the way and get my PhD. And be in school for like many years. But now I'm just kind of like, I think a master's is okay. Like school is kind of like school is a lot. School is too much.
It's a
So
lot.
I might
Yeah.
just park it at that. But I love learning. Like I love learning and just being able to turn that into, me and like my uniqueness and things like that. So just getting knowledge from others and being able to kind of take that and really make it into something. It's been interesting. It's been quite insane. Like I can't believe it really.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Because
Yeah, yeah.
and you said some amazing things that I definitely want to piggyback on, and
Yeah.
one of them is to know about that I want to know about that type of like balance, right? Like
Right, right,
you definitely, it seems like you have kind of gradually learned different pockets and paths that you
right,
walk, right?
right, right.
So how would you, and not even like to balance that between like content and career, but like how do you balance like all the goals you want to do, and like how does that um how do you figure that out mentally? Like how does
Right,
that
right.
gather for you?
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely something I have to keep in mind because I know for me, especially with mental health, like
Hmm.
I went through like, and people know this from experience. Like Rizzy will tell you, like, because Rizzy has known me for like a long time. We went to high school together,
Oh wow.
and all that stuff. But back in college, I went through a very interesting period in my life where I think like I don't know what happened. Like I really don't know what happened. Like something just kind of snapped in my brain, and I was a very different person. Like you could
Hmm.
tell, like I wasn't normal. Like anybody who's known me for a long time, like knows. Like I went through a little bit of a kind of a tumultuous time, and it was very much related to mental health.
Right.
So, now that I'm in a better place, just learning from others, in regards to like mental health and taking care of yourself and not biting off too much that, more that you can chew, you know what I
Right.
mean? Because, one thing about me is like while I'm, very introverted and, all that, I'm very much what's the word? What's the word? Like I overdo it a lot. I overdo it a
Okay, I'm
lot.
with you. I'm with you on
I
that.
put too much on my plate.
Right.
Like, I think I can do all the things, and then once you try to do all that, then you get burnt out. So I've really, really taken into consideration, my own mental state, and gaming and content creation has actually helped me because gaming is something that I've always loved. And
Right.
like the fact that I've turned it into something like bigger than just gaming has really like motivated me again to do things. Like for a long time, I lost so much motivation. After I finished school, I was just kind of like, I was stuck, just stuck, like not really doing much, not really feeling motivated to do anything productive. And when I discovered, making content and it really kept me busy. And then I started modding for BGG,
Nice.
and it just made me feel productive and motivated and getting into doing things again. And so it's really helped more. And I think I'm just in much more of a better place now, and with taking care of myself and doing things like making sure just going to the doctor, getting checkups. That's really important. Hopefully soon, once I transition, I'm kind of in a transition period too
Nice.
within life. Like I do want to transition to another job, once I finish school and whatnot. But hopefully get into some therapy and
Yeah.
eating better, just simply eating better. Like one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to just eat better. I've been trying some vegan things. I've been
Nice.
drinking like less coffee to be all, less jittery and stuff like that. I've been drinking tea a lot more. Like
Right. I
just
like
little
that.
things like that, and it just took this, like, me discovering content creation to really, like, reinvigorate, my passions and things like that. So, like, I had been putting off I finally am getting back into school. Like, I had been putting that off since it's 2022. I said, like, in 2018, I was gonna go back to school, and
Oh, wow.
I put it off for, like, 4 years, literally, like, and I'm just
Yeah.
now getting back into gear. So that's how like, I was in a very, very weird funk, but I definitely feel like I'm coming out of it now. So,
That's good. And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
first and foremost,
yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you do feel you're coming back into a
Yeah,
sense
yeah,
of normalcy, or that you kind of went through that darker patch, if I call it that,
exactly,
um
exactly, yeah.
and that you're coming back out in better spirits and wanting
Right,
to
right.
think more about like the longevity of not only your mental health but your physical health or your emotional health
Exactly.
and things of that nature. That's actually really good. And
Yeah.
especially with like, okay, to piggyback with that and to go into my next question is like that you listed off some of the goals that you wanted to do not only on your
Right,
career side but on your content side. So
right.
like for future, where do you see that happening? Like I know, you're saying you're want to transition from this career to another career, and of course still
Yeah.
growing yourself as a
Right,
content
right,
creator. So
right.
what are some things that are you looking to blend those more in the
Yeah.
future, and how so?
Yeah, definitely. One big thing I want, one major thing that I want that I really think is gonna even like make me feel so much better is moving back home to the Bay Area. Like I want to go
Nice.
back home so badly. Like Sacramento is cool, and I've lived here for, I moved here in 2011, so I've been here
Oh
11
wow.
years.
Wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
just to come to Sac State. Like that's where I went to school. That's where I graduated from, and that's where I'm going back. But I think it's time for me to go home. And it's not that far. It's only an hour away, but
Right.
still, like I think I just want to be closer to my mom and my grandmother. And I'm an only child too,
Oh
and
wow,
they are
okay.
getting older, so they're gonna start needing a lot more help, and for me to be closer to them also. So a big thing about mending content creation and career changes is going back home to the Bay Area. And not only that, and not only do I think I can find a really good job in education in the Bay Area. Twitch is literally in San Francisco. The
Yeah.
headquarters is in San Francisco. So I'm just kind of like, who knows what can come up of that? Like maybe I'll apply for a job at Twitch or something like that.
Nice.
Once I grow and once I learn more about, tech things and all that stuff. And I really just want to move back home, get my own place out there. Part of growing too is like, just growing my setup little by little, hopefully
Right.
getting a new PC and just being able to merge gaming and my career path. Cause like I said, no matter where I go, like whether I'm, still working in a youth center or there's a bunch of opportunities for me to work in, children's hospitals, where kids
Right.
are getting surgery and stuff like that. They always need activity coordinator kind of people. And
Right.
that's kind of my specialty is like, coordinating, activities and things like that and lesson plans and things like that. That's kind of like what I do. So still being able to get a games room in a youth center or in the hospital for kids and like things like that. Like I really feel like both are really gonna merge into themselves naturally. And it's
Nice.
like I think I've started the process and that's good. So I'm hoping I think I don't want to say I'm hoping. I know like everything is gonna work out good. It's just a matter of time. You know what I mean? So
Right. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
because to be honest, like the pattern I picked up on a lot of your answers is that you in every answer you seem to know that it's going to become one no matter what. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
you never separate, which is really
Right,
good, and I think that's going to be well forward and well
right,
in a
right.
big
Yeah, I'm
super push for
hoping.
your growth. Right.
Like going back home, it's just gonna kind of like snowball into creating content that I actually want to make. Like I love the Bay Area. Like if you ask anyone from the Bay Area, and I hate to say it, but like being from the Bay Area is literally a personality trait. Like if you meet somebody from the Bay, you gonna know they from the Bay. That's probably the
Right.
first thing they gonna tell you. They be like, "Hey, what's your name? I'm from the Bay." Like that's what they're gonna say. That's what they're gonna say. That's what we're gonna say. Like and like just being able to like reconnect with the Bay Area, like,
Right.
where I went to school, like, because it's so crazy. Like, I was raised in the Bay, and I really feel like I never got a chance to explore it as much as I should have, even living there for all my life. Like, in San Francisco and I mean Berkeley. Berkeley. I spent so much time in Berkeley. I actually did a lot of um after school programs and whatnot at UC Berkeley, which was super cool. So I did
Right.
spend a lot of time at UC Berkeley, which is cool. But just like exploring more of the Bay Area because the Bay Area just has so much to offer. Like it's a
Right.
destination place, and it always has been.
Right.
So to be able to go back and to live there and to like actually love where I'm living, it's just gonna be able to help me like make the things that I want to make and that'll really show because I actually have a passion for it, a passion for
Right.
where I am and all that stuff. So
I like that.
Sacramento is cool. I love it. And I've been out here and it's grown a lot, but I'm ready to go back home. I really am.
I like that. I like that. And
Yeah,
to
yeah.
piggyback on that, like what are just the love I hear that you have for home for the Bay Area
Yeah.
is strong. And
Yeah.
I love that you said like even when you go back, like you just have plans to create for the Bay
Yeah.
Area and within the Bay Area, right?
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
what are some of those that outside of what may be the norm? Like, what are some of those things that you're thinking of? Of course, if it's
Yeah.
secret stuff, don't give your
Yeah,
ideas
yeah.
away. But still,
No, no. Like I've turned over so many ideas. Like I want to spend more time, at the Golden Gate Bridge. Like I've only
nice,
ever in my whole entire life, I've only been to the Golden Gate Bridge and walked on it once.
really,
One time in my whole entire life. Like 28 years, like living there for years. I've only been once
sheesh,
and I really want to, do content around the bridge. There are so many like black owned businesses that are opening up and that have been opening up in the Bay Area in San
really,
Francisco. Yeah, in San Francisco and Oakland. Like there's just so many things to like dive into. Marshawn Lynch actually, he has a gaming company. And I would love
okay,
to like somehow through a miracle, like meet someone he knows and know a friend who know a friend who know a friend, because the Bay Area is very small. Like you have a
Right.
lot of, really famous people who come from the Bay Area, but they always in the Bay Area. Like they hanging out in Oakland, like you'll see them like once every couple of months just chilling, just like hanging out. So they be around.
Uh,
They always giving back to the community. Like they're very community oriented. So they're always looking for, people to from the Bay Area to, lift up. And so I'm hoping, just out of fate one day, like I can connect with some of them. And my one of my cousins is actually um CC Sabathia. He was a famous baseball player. He played for the Cleveland Indians for a long time. He was a
nice.
pitcher, and he retired with the Yankees. And my cousin is his wife's best friend. Like I
Oh,
even went,
snap.
like when I was younger. Yeah, I went to a when she
Cool.
was having her baby. My cousin, she had her baby shower was at his house, and it was a house that was on cribs. Like it had a movie theater and like
That's
all that
cool.
stuff. And I was like, oh my God. So I don't know if fate will have it. If I do all the right things, hopefully I can connect with people like that, because they have stakes in gaming, because they know too, gaming is a big deal. So
Right.
I just really want to connect with, Bay Area companies, Black owned companies, and hopefully I can grow, my platform, to be able to work with them and, just get involved more with gaming, especially in San Francisco, because they've opened up a lot of like arcade spots, for
Nice.
hanging out and things like that. So, get involved in that. They have a really cool place actually in San Jose. It's called Guild House, and they have like a streaming room in there. Like I would
That's
love to
cool.
like, do stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because it's local, it's at home, and like that'd be like just super cool. So those are the dreams, and we're
Right.
working on them. Slowly but surely. But yeah, I definitely have a lot of ideas for sure, for sure.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, Tops.
yeah,
Tops, you
yeah.
about to be killing it.
I don't. Fingers crossed. You never know. Sometimes you still
I
gotta
like
you
it.
gotta get out the mud. Just like you
Yeah.
gotta start from somewhere. That's where we all
Facts.
start. You start with nothing really. You start from zero. You start from an idea, and then you just kind of grow it from there. You know what I mean? So
I like that. I like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. With that, let's to talk just always do this, always kind of try and give a balance. So to go
yeah,
into the little darker sides a little bit,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
To what are some things that looking back, and not necessarily anything you may feel like you regret it, but anything you may feel like in your growing stages, whether through content creation, like
Right,
that you wish that okay, or that you may want to tackle again, or that you're like, I
right.
could have done this in a better light, or maybe
Yeah,
maybe I shouldn't have turned this over, or what are some of those things?
definitely. Well, I think, I wish I would have just took care of myself like
Mm,
better, back when I was in school. Like I wish I you know, just put me first more in a lot of aspects, because I'm very much back then I kind of used to be. I've kind of grown out of it now just because I know my limits and things like that. But I was very much like a people pleaser, you know what I mean? Like I just felt like I had to be doing stuff for people all the time, and like never really felt like appreciated, you know what I mean?
right.
For a lot of the stuff that I did. So I wish I would have just took a step back more, back when I was in school, because I know if I did, like a lot of things would probably be different now had I, kind of just, took a little bit better care of my own mental state and my own health and that kind of thing. So looking back, there's a lot of things that I should have did different. But I think the good thing about it is like we're more willing to grow and like learn from those things now.
Right.
It's like we don't really like push them aside or brush them away. Like I very much turned it over, and I know now like what I need to do in order to stay on, the right path. So
Right.
yeah, I wish I wish I would have discovered, things like content creation and just, you know, taking gaming a little bit more seriously early on, like before when I did, because I'm always so very embarrassed that I did
Mm.
not know Twitch existed. And I'm very upset about that. Like, I really wish I would have, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that I went to school with who knew what Twitch was and was doing their thing and all that stuff. But I just never knew. So I wish I was earlier on the ball. I
Mm.
wish I would have just, taken better care of myself, 5 years ago. So,
I
but
feel
now
that.
I know what I know, and I think I'm prepared more to, stay on a more of a narrow path. So,
No, I get that
yeah,
a lot. I get that a lot. That was a super relatable in all aspects. I really do
yeah,
understand that. Where a lot of times, what I did notice is a lot of us in this generation and around our age, as I'm 29,
yeah,
I'll be 30 this year.
yeah. I know it's feeling like
Oh
it.
my
Like, oh my
god.
gosh,
Um,
like,
but like I realize a lot of us, it's either we teeter back and forth, or there's like a weird split, right? Where it's like
right,
we're like, it's like, oh, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck on one
right,
hand, but
right,
then it's super people pleaser on the other
right.
hand. And
Exactly.
sometimes it's such a weird mental thing where it kind of goes back and forth.
Right.
Like, do you feel like, in if you have those moments, like, do you feel that you're trying to balance that better? Do you kind of
Yeah.
want to focus, like, and how do you focus on that?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like even now, I still kind of feel that urge. Like sometimes, like I have to be in places, or I
Hmm.
have to do this, or I
Hmm.
have to do that, or like I'm obligated. And it's like, no, you're not. And I've taken that big step of just taking care of myself with my current job, because, for a while I was a little bit unhappy with my current job just because, you feel like overworked and you're not really feeling like compensated for the work that you're
Yeah,
doing. So,
100%.
like, I literally, like, nowadays, I just tell my manager, like, hey, I'm not coming today. Like, I'm not coming today. Like, I'm taking this day off, this day off. And it's cool because, it's not that big of a deal. And
Right,
I'm like, hey, I'm going back to school. Like, I'm gonna need this day off. And like, just knowing my worth, you know what I mean? And,
right.
not overdoing it and not being like, compensated or appreciated for all the stuff that you've been doing. So yeah, I definitely have taken steps to, prioritizing my own self and making sure that, I'm feeling like what I'm doing is worth it. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I love that. That's such an important quote right there. Like, that makes sure, like, what you're doing is worth it, because
Yeah,
that relies on how you look at your self-worth, how you look at what you do in
exactly.
certain situations, in certain fields, or even in your personal growth, or in growth of things that you want to do.
Right,
And
exactly.
so to do that, and to piggyback on that, I would like to ask, like, in these two spaces, like, because even going back to your very first answer, like,
Right.
in the place that you're at now, where it is a little bit, like you said, anti-tech, and, like,
Right.
they kind of
Right.
focus more on the imagination and creativity of
Right.
outside of tech, but
Right.
not recognizing that imagination and creativity can be born within tech, right?
Exactly.
Do you feel
Exactly.
like, even at that point, like, you're kind of leading the charge in that situation too?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And I remember like we had a meeting once a long time ago at
Right.
my job, and I was just kind of like, yeah, and now, with a lot of evolvement at my job, they're trying to incorporate a lot more activities and programs for the kids, and one of them is film, like filmmaking. And, that's kind of hard to avoid
Right.
without tech. Like you need, if you want to make
Right.
a film, you got to record it. You know what I'm saying? You need
That's
like
a
a
fact.
camera,
You need to know
like
it.
you need equipment, like
Right.
editing. Like you literally can't make a film without technology.
It's
And
facts.
so I think they realize that, you know what I mean? And so I think that's what really made them be like, yeah, um, it's very inevitable. We're going to add this little tiny element of technology and filmmaking with cameras and computers into this new building that we're going to do. And I'm like, that's a good start. And like, I get it. I get our mission, and I get our mission is to, imagine and creativity and play and all that stuff. But,
Hmm.
some things are just it's unavoidable nowadays. And so I definitely do think now that I'm in this space and I know a lot more about it, it kind of does translate over to my job now, because I noticed like a lot of my coworkers are not that tech savvy in general, like at all. So it's
Right.
like
Right.
I'm gonna be in that building and I'm gonna probably be the only one who knows how to work that stuff that's that's in that building now. So like they're gonna have to learn how to use that, that equipment that's going in there and all that stuff. So I definitely think that what I'm doing now is going to forever, translate over into, my education field, wherever I go. So,
And I like that, and
yeah, yeah,
that's exactly why I wanted to ask that question and kind of bridge your latest answer with one of your earliest, is because what
yeah,
I notice is you're very and I know I said it a little bit before, but what I notice is you definitely understand the bridge of both of the paths or both of the things that you
exactly.
do, and I like
Yeah,
that when you brought it to the conversation of self-worth and knowing your worth and knowing the things you do that has worth. Now
right,
you can definitely pick which parts of both sides have their points of worth that
right.
connect to each other, right?
Exactly,
and
exactly.
and I
Yeah, yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that helps your growth exponentially, because now
Exactly. Yeah,
you're able to talk to both sides. Like,
right.
do you start to feel that way? Like, do you feel that way,
Yeah,
or is that something that you kind of had to, or is that something that took you a long and harder time to realize?
definitely. Yeah. I mean, now that I'm kind of, engulfed in both spaces, I still try my best to keep a small line between the two, because there's sometimes where I find myself doing like gaming stuff and content stuff at work, like when I'm at
Right.
work, and it's not that big of a deal, but you know I I don't know, I just really want to be able to continue to bridge the gap a lot more. And I think, because I mean, I do have a tiny experience in tech. Prior to content creation, I used to do like sound systems and stuff in
Oh,
high school. And
nice.
for a little while in college, I actually was like I forgot the name of the position, but I used to monitor the little on the televised classes. We used to have televised classes back in the day
Oh, dope.
at Sac State, and there was like a little room where it looks like a giant stream deck actually, and I would push
Okay.
buttons from scene to scene for those televised classes. So it's
Right.
been a long time, and like if I did it again in like a production room or something, it'll kind of come back to me. But it's like I have a dab of experience in like all these little places. And so it's like I definitely want to continue, to do so. And who knows, like that might be an option, going back into, producing, because
Mhm.
when I went to Vegas too for the first time and I saw the production room where they do all the scene switching and stuff for the streams and stuff like that. I was like, you know what? I used to do this. Like it would take me like maybe a short amount of time to relearn it, but like I could literally do this, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, part of me does want to stay in education and
Right.
continue to bridge that gap between, tech and imagination and child development.
Right.
But, if the opportunity opens up and it just makes me a lot more happier, just doing, tech and gaming, then that's just, what I'm gonna do. So,
I like that. I like that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and that also goes to show where it's not like you're abandoning it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's still whether you even if you go into something where it's just tech, like just you having the wherewithal and the knowledge to be able to understand not only that the gap can be bridged and that you can
Exactly.
bridge the gap, but to execute it because
Exactly.
you kind of already took the steps in order to do that. So like
Yeah, yeah.
that's actually incredible.
Exactly. And now that I'm thinking about it, like, there is ways that I can, kind of flip the script and transition into solely like tech, doing
Hmm.
tech. And I can be one of those people who gets hired in a middle school or high school to lead a esports club or a little club, like a tech club or something for the
Right.
kids, and still be able to be in an environment, in a school environment, in an education environment
Right.
with kids, and still, be in that education realm while doing something that I'm really enjoying, which is the tech side too. So it's like the possibilities are endless, really. You know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. All right. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Now, bring it back to some fun stuff. I do
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
bring
yeah.
because we I do want to talk about how does it feel to like be in like just on content creating and just you and some of the things that you've accomplished, like amazing things you accomplished. How does it feel to join those Apex tournaments and
Yeah.
things of that nature? Like you've done a lot of tournaments. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
cannot say that. Like how does that feel like to be
No.
able to be
That
invited to tournaments and such?
That's amazing. Yeah,
Right.
this tournament coming up next week. This will be my fourth one,
Yeah.
fourth tournament. Yeah. And this one is like actually, this is a good one because, the first couple of ones were like charity ones, and then the very one of the very first one that I did, it wasn't in a private lobby. It was just actually just like a regular kill race. So
Mm,
I feel like so much more confident and am just like super grateful to be able to participate in more tournaments now, because now I feel like I can actually like show my skill, because
right.
I have been like practicing. I have been playing it's been 7, 8 seasons now, and I finally feel like confident in my game to where I can hold up against, players who are better than me. And that's why I like doing tournaments. I like doing
Right.
tournaments, especially the private ones and the ones that you get invited to, because I always say, and it's natural, like you aren't gonna get good at something if you don't play against people who are like 5 times better than you. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Like,
Facts.
so I like getting in lobbies with people who I know are like super cracked at the game, because
Right.
that helps me get better too, like, and be able to continue to get better in tournaments and be able to really like showcase, what I've been working on. And I've been able to showcase what I've been working on in the series that I started on Instagram, just showing my growth, like from how atrocious my aim used to be, like when I
Right.
was playing on regular settings, and like movement, and just being able to actually like hit my shots nowadays. It's just like, wow, like just seeing the growth from when I was first playing is like, dang, like it took a long time. Apex is not an easy game.
Nah.
I really, it's kind of like, it's a little annoying when people try to come around and say, "Oh, Apex is super easy." It is not. It is not an easy game,
It's
okay?
not.
And it's always the ones who get in there and, they learn real quick that it's a difficult game to learn, you know what I mean?
They
And
be on their
like you
ass,
really,
yup.
yeah, it's one of those things. You can play it casually and still be decent and have a great time with it like I do,
Right.
but there is that competitive aspect where you really have to sit down and practice and really learn a game like Apex. So I'm just so happy to get to a place where, people will like notice, my
Right.
gameplay and stuff, which is like super good. And I really just want to continue to show like the growth and how anyone can do it. I'm just a regular I literally came out of nowhere, you know what I mean? I really did. I came out of nowhere. Like I know a lot of people, like, cause I know my people hear my name nowadays and they're like, who's this person? Like they kind of just came out of nowhere. And it's true, I did. Like I just like fell out of the sky
Nah, talk your
and
shit.
started playing I started playing Apex, and and it's just gotten me here, and I'm just like super happy to continue to connect with more, Apex players. Not even Apex players, just like content creators in general, because while I do like center a lot of my content around Apex,
Mhm.
I'm very much a well-rounded person. I have like a whole bunch of interests in other things, like sports, of course. I would
Yes.
love to start a sports series. I'm kind of nervous though, because
That'd be
just like
kind of
Apex,
fire.
yeah, just like Apex, peeps like sports people
Sports, they don't
are
mess around. That
intense.
community
Yeah,
is
they
it's
will. If you
intense.
mess up a stat, or if you get a stat wrong, or have like a terrible take, they will
Yeah.
be
They be
a terrible
on
basketball
you.
take, especially in basketball. Basketball social media is cutthroat.
Sick is
So
yeah.
I
I'm
would love to. Of course, I'm a
I'm
huge
with
Golden
it.
State Warriors fan. Like, I grew up going to Warriors games. I grew up going to Raiders games and Niners games before, the Raiders moved away. Technically the Niners moved away too, but
I'm a
they
Knicks
still
fan,
they
so I'm
still,
not rocking with y'all
near,
right now.
but yeah, 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 yeah. So I would love to like dabble in sports. I love playing 2K. I haven't played Madden in a while, but maybe I'll get back into that. But yeah,
A
you know what I
2K
mean? I'm
whip
just super
series
excited.
sounds fire though. I'm
You
I'm just
know,
I'ma
I,
watch it.
I want to so bad. Like, I need to turn it over in my head, because now that I've kind of gotten a idea of where I want to go with Apex,
Mm-hmm.
I need to turn over, sit down with 2K and say, because there's still there's quite a there's it's getting better, but there's still not a lot of female 2K just content creators. You have
At all.
female
Yeah, not a lot.
players who are in the 2K league
Right.
killing it, like just playing professionally, which is great, but you don't see too many like just solely like content creators who are women still. So I think that's
Point.
like a niche that I
That's a good
can
point.
kind of squeeze into and hopefully make some good stuff out of it. So I don't know. I have to see, what's lacking and what I really would enjoy, getting out of that. So who knows?
No, I like that, and you brought up a very good point. Because I one of my questions I was gonna ask, but I'm gonna broaden it a little bit because I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
ask
yeah.
like how important does it feel to be invited and to showcase your skill in Apex as a black woman because shout out to like people like Peach FPS and
Yeah,
things of
for
that
sure.
nature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But now for you, I kind of want to broaden that a bit, like to be able
Yeah.
be to grow your skill and to showcase your skill as a black woman in Apex, but to be able to, if you so choose to, show your skill and be a content creator in 2K, which you hit it on the
Exactly.
head. There is not a lot of content
Exactly.
creators in 2K, like,
Right,
so,
right.
and that goes to your point where things that have that worth to it, right? So
Exactly. Exactly.
how would you feel
Yeah.
about like that? Like how important
Yeah.
is that for you?
That's super, super important because, we talk about this a lot. Representation is like
Mm-hmm.
it, and we're gonna keep saying it. Like, representation is just so very important. And it's not even and one thing I really dislike when I see, on social media when we're talking about being represented, like, the people on the outside who are not marginalized, who are not, people of color, and who are not male, you know what I mean? They're
Right.
like, "Oh, well, why is representation so important? Like, why can't we all just be, equal, or the
Right.
best person, or the person with the most this and this and this and that is going to get chosen because they're this and that." Okay, but
Right.
that I really hate that logic, because that's insinuating that, people who are outside of the norm are not good at what they do. You know what I mean? That they're not good content creators, that they're not um like super cracked at their game, that they can't produce high quality content. And we literally are. Like, we are
Yeah.
literally like, the most high quality stuff that I have seen have
Come on, Michael.
come from Black content
That's a
creators,
fact.
literally. Like,
That's a
the
fact.
production value of Black content creators in this space is astronomical. So to say like things like we're talking about representation just because we're talking about wanting to be seen, like that means that what we're doing isn't worth it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it goes back to
Right.
that it's worth it. Like people are making like some of the best content that I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I
So
get
it's
that.
like
1,000%.
it's not just wanting to be seen because we're not seeing that often. It's like literally the content is fire. Like what people are making is literally good.
Really
Like it's
good.
literally adding a whole a whole piece that's missing like in this space, like that you don't see that often, like with black apex tournaments, like black content black player tournaments in general in any
Right.
game, whether it be COD, Fortnite, Apex 2K, it doesn't matter. Like literally, like I don't get what's so, difficult to understand about that. It's like that's what we're talking about. Like that's the issue. Like it's insinuating that, like we're we're solely looking to be seen and don't have anything to offer to the table. You know what I mean?
That's a bar.
So I see it all the time, with streamer Twitter and
Yep.
and all that stuff. And I know, we talk about trying to avoid that stuff, but
Right.
and I'm pretty quiet. I really don't engage a lot in
But you
the
observe.
streamer discourse. Although, I do. I follow tons of
Right.
streamers and tons of content creators, but I really, keep it off the topic of that a lot. And I don't really, I'm not quick to engage, but I see the stuff and I be thinking about it. I'm just like, y'all, come on, like we know we're making good content and we know we have what it takes to draw in audiences, but it's
Right.
literally like we're literally not given the chance to do so. You know what I mean? So
No, 1,000%.
we carve out our own lanes and we do it ourselves, literally. And it's funny when people are like, oh, well, if you want to be seen, do it yourself. And then when we do, then they get mad about it, like, and then they feel
Fact.
it's
That's
very,
a fact.
it's been I have had such a positive experience in content creation. Like I can't say like one negative thing. Like I've met some of the most positive people. Everyone that I've come across has been super welcoming and stuff. But you still have those interesting takes, that you see, and it's just kind of like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's funny. It's very funny. It's very funny. But yeah, like it's super important to just be able to have the opportunity to show what you've done and show what you can do. So I don't know.
No, I get that.
We're doing like we're literally doing so much. Like I would go as far as to say, I mean, look at like a lot of content, it like ideas are being taken from content creators of color.
Yes. Oh
And
my
we're like,
God.
it's crazy how we're literally carrying the content creation industry and not being shown that we're worth it, because we're literally making the stuff and people are just latching on to it. You know what I mean?
No, I get that.
So it's like you see it so much in TikTok, you see it so much on, Twitter, you see it so much in YouTube where
Right.
people are, just 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 word for word, bar for bar. And it's just kind of like,
Facts.
yo,
Facts.
like, why aren't we in these environments? Like, why aren't we at these tables? Like, why is our content like we're making it? So why is it not being,
Right.
pushed up there and seen? You know what I mean? So
No, I get
yeah,
that. I get that,
yeah,
especially because it literally feels like we, especially in content creating, the piggyback of what you said, like we literally
yeah,
make the
yeah.
dopest stuff, and it's crazy because I feel like we adapt that saying, like that cliche saying of like black people or black women or marginalized creators have to, or
Right.
marginalized people, I'm sorry, have to work 5 times as hard. And it's
Exactly.
crazy because I feel we do work 5 times as hard.
We literally do.
And like
We
we
literally
build the
do.
table and can't sit at it. And it
Exactly.
mind boggles me.
It's just very mind-boggling. It's
Right.
it's very much true. Like I go to so many, like, especially around Apex, I'll
Yeah.
just pop into and I do. I actively seek, other content creators to try to watch and try to vibe
Right.
with. And it's just mind-boggling how, you have these people up here who are sitting there, not talking, not engaging, not doing much of anything. I mean, sure, the gameplay is cracked and all that's great,
Right.
and they might compete in tournaments and whatnot. But I mean, there's no there's no entertainment value. I'm sorry. I
No,
hate to say it,
talk your shit.
but it's the
Topaz,
truth.
talk your shit. Talk your shit.
Whereas I see so many, marginalized, LGBTQ streamers
Right,
and black streamers and black content creators of color with so much pizzazz and like so much razzle dazzle in their production value of their stream. And it's like, why is this what are we doing here? This
right.
should be up here, and not to take away from people, but it's like,
It's not balanced.
that this is production value, you know what
Right.
I mean? So it's just kind of like you hate to see it, you
I
know what I
hate
mean?
to see it. No, no, I get that. I get that. That was a
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Ooh, I
with you.
mean, I hate to, burst people's bubble, but I mean,
No, talk your Topaz. You talk your
Yeah,
shit here. You talk your shit here.
exactly. Like I just hope that hopefully, we can just be given more opportunity and just realize that it's okay to be inspired by others. Just know that we're literally we're carrying it for real, you know what I mean, and just giving credit where credit is due, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
definitely get that. And we're at the hour, but the
yeah,
last question.
yeah, this was great, yeah.
Thank you. My last question to you is to tell the people the future of Topes. Like what's happening in the future of Topaz TV? What is there to come? What are some things that they may look forward to? What do you have?
Yeah,
Talk your shit.
definitely growth and more growth. I definitely want to
I like that.
continue the Apex Wit series. Keep
Yes.
adding some pizzazz to that. Like last year, I was just doing this thing where I was just kind of, throwing a bunch of clips together, and I was like, let me add some, let me add something to it. Let me, come out of my shell and, start talking to people a lot more and
Right.
explaining my processes on things like that. Because especially like we said, we don't see ourselves doing that a lot
Right.
in this genre. So I kind of want to, fill that gap with Apex, just sharing my experience with the game. I want to come up with some more ideas. Like TikTok has been a lot of fun, and I'm glad, people have been enjoying my little I have a, cute sense of
You
humor.
be
Like I like
doing
to make Apex jokes and stuff. So, just keeping up with TikTok, just showing my personality a lot more. And I
Right.
think that's what's, really gonna help me grow a lot more, whether it be, in the space and just as a person in general. Cause I've been very shy, last
Right.
year was kind of my, really dipping my foot into the water with getting a new setup and, getting used to streaming and all that stuff. So I think now, it's time for me to really, be in the camera a lot more and, use my voice, show my personality a lot more. Hopefully that'll translate into, better content and, things like that. And like I said, hopefully moving back home,
Right.
um, getting my own place and just trying to stay on, good path, trying to just connect more with people and, stop trying to, be this little introverted topaz over here. You know what I mean? So
Right.
just being a little bit more willing to put myself out there a little bit. So
Okay.
that's where I'm at. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure everyone else is gonna love that. That's
I
dope.
hope so. I hope
I'm
so. I hope
excited.
so. Yeah.
I'm excited for the future of Topes. I really am. You are definitely a big inspiration to me. So that's exactly why I
Thank
wanted
you. I
to sit.
appreciate it. Same for you. I
Thank
know
you.
that we kind of, it's cool to see us who have kind of like we came in like last year kind of at the same
Yeah.
time. And
And
so
it's like,
like to see where we are going now, it's just like fantastic. Like I remember like I know so many people who we all, started kind of, in a batch at the same
right.
time. And now we're like doing this, and so many things. It's just like super cool. It's
Cool.
super cool to see. So
It
yeah, yeah.
really is. And I'm excited. And Topes, thank you. I just can't
Thank
thank you enough. I
you.
can't
Thank
thank you enough. A
you. I
legend.
know this was
A
great. Like
legend.
I'm
Thank you.
glad like I did perception. Like cuz
Thank you.
I kind of want to get into like, talking and all that stuff. So this was like I wouldn't have it any other way to start here. So,
Yay. Thank you.
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
And of
Thank
course,
you.
everybody, please, please, please support Topaz TV, aka Topes. All links to her socials, Twitch, and all her content creating endeavors will be in the description below.
Find me
I
anywhere.
appreciate y'all so much for watching this episode of Per-Sception. Love y'all. Peace.
Yay, thank you.